They asked themselves, which of our achievements institution? We are human, born to rule, and the universe awaits the firm hand of our governance.
Emperor Trascan Duval II, undelivered draft speech written immediately before his sudden and unexplained death. The Empire, while younger than the Federation, is easily the equal of its historic rival in terms
Fighter retrieval initiated, Commander.
of scale and resources. The key social distinction between is this. Some observers have pointed out, however, that conditions for those at the lowest levels of federal society are far worse than those experienced by imperial slaves. Is one of mighty. The hierarchy of imperial society is rigid, but a citizen
Frameshift drive charging.
can always rise through the ranks if he or she becomes wealthy enough and
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
makes the right connections. Even a slave could, in theory, become a senator. The Empire. History. The Achenar colony was founded. In the mid-23rd century, wealthy entrepreneur Marlene Duval was so frustrated with the federal government that she founded an independent colony of her own in the Achenar system, chosen for its remoteness. When Marlene was killed shortly afterwards in a flyer accident, her brother Henson Duval took over as ruler. Henson Duval the Emperor. Duval immediately abolished the fledgling democracy that Marlene had set up, and in its place, he established a system modelled on ancient Rome. He was now emperor, and his closest allies were his senators. Any colonists who might have objected were forced into silent compliance with Duval's vision. Such were his wealth and power. It was also widely believed that Marlene Duval, like Remus in ancient Rome,
Roger. Tally present start. Online, awaiting your orders.
had been killed by her own brother. Nobody dared to speak out. The Mudlark extinction. The colonists were aware that the planet they had settled, Achenar 6D, had indigenous life. But at first, it wasn't appreciated that this included a sentient species. nicknamed the mudlarks after they were observed digging through riverbank mud in search of food. Although the mudlarks were at a pre-agricultural stage of development, they appear to have developed the beginnings of language. They also created obvious practical purpose, possibly indicating a nascent artistic culture. The mudlarks proved fatally vulnerable to the bacteria carried by the colony. Noble houses of Achenar. The Empire. Society. An ancient Roman model. The Empire works on a clean system. Society is divided into tiers. Emperor, senators, patrons, clients, and then citizens, with slaves below these. Groups of patrons pledge their support to a given senator, offering military service, tax revenue, and the right to wield the patron's votes in the Senate on their behalf. In return, the patrons are granted a measure of
Affirmative. Looking for targets. Weapons hot.
protection and material security, as well as having their interests represented in the Imperial Senate. Senators are responsible for deciding tax rates and welfare systems for their patrons, meaning that the lower a given senator's tax rates, the more patrons he is likely to attract. This is far from being a patron's only concern, however. Loyalty over time, ideological compatibility, family connections, and discreet private deals all play a part in deciding which senator to back. The system extends downward through the tiers in a similar fashion, with clients pledging themselves to given patrons, and citizens pledging themselves to given clients. The votes held by the patrons actually comprise the total votes of all the clients pledged to them. Similarly, the votes held by those clients comprise the total votes of their
Warning, impulse attack. Trajectory disruption. Under attack. Target shields offline.
citizens. Patrons are therefore capable of investing variable degrees of power in their chosen senators, with the result that some senators are more powerful than others. Senators are responsible for those below them, meaning that everyone has a form of social security, at least in theory. Indeed, many senators take pride in the security they offer their citizens. Some have even been known to drain material wealth from small independent worlds and pump it back into the capital economy. Face a loss of voting power. Rigid stratification. The division between social classes is formal, unambiguous, and strict. But there is a clear path to advancement. A person can pay a fee and petition for admittance to the rank above. In this way, slaves can become citizens too. The law is not the same for all. Senators have a responsibility to enforce the law, and they must obey the emperor's decree, but are otherwise above the law. A senator can even carry out executions personally, with little, if any, fear of consequence.
Hear you loud and clear. I'm moving in.
The Empire. Military. The Imperial Navy. Maintaining a modernized navy has always been a top priority for the Empire. The ever-present threat posed by the Federation has driven previous emperors to empty the coffers again and again, for fear of being outstripped in the arms race. More recently,
Target cargo dropped.
funding
Target shields online.
has come from wealthy individual senators, many of whom are all too eager to gain influence
Target shields offline.
within the Navy. Indeed, it has been claimed that devastating planetary mining has been carried out. They proved brutally efficient, overrunning the federal defenses in a mere 2 hours and inflicting a rare defeat upon a federal Gurkha regiment. The Empire. Culture and values. The human body represents perfection. This belief, once held with near religious intensity,
Roger that, Commander. Moving to engage.
still forms the bedrock of the Empire's culture and morals. Genetic modification is frowned upon, but a degree of genetic correction is known to take place, supposedly to correct defects such as vulnerability to certain diseases. The belief in the sanctity of the human body originates with the first emperor, Henson de Val. While he did not claim to be literally descended from the gods, in the manner of Roman emperors of old, he declared that his own image was the paradigm to which others ought to aspire. Households across the Empire
Mayday, Commander. Taking fire.
were required to display a statue or bust of the Emperor in a place of honor. Imperial citizens are therefore expected to shun habits that corrupt or defile the human body, such as excessive
Under fire. Hull at 50%.
indulgence in narcotics. The ownership of slaves, by contrast, is tolerated in the same way that the ownership of
Target shields offline. Taking damage. Shields offline. alert. Cabin pressure alert. Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Down, sir.
Atmospheric failure. Cabin pressure alert. Cabin pressure alert. Cabin pressure alert. Cabin pressure alert. Warning, oxygen low. Cabin pressure alert. Shields online. Atmospheric failure.
This is flight control. Access to this carrier must be authorized in advance. I'm sorry, Commander. Permission has been denied. Docking permission denied. You need to move within 7.5 kilometers of our carrier. Access granted. Please proceed.
Eject. 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 Eject.